Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to Overwatch. And there are some interesting changes coming to Overwatch Competitive in the coming days. So, late last year, we saw the introduction of map pools in competitive, which means every season we would get a certain map pool and certain maps would not be available, certain maps would be available. I'm sure we all know how map pools work. Also, in early March of this year, we got to see hero pools introduced, where certain heroes each week get banned, and we see what happens and meta changes, so we don't get a stale meta, which we've had in previous times with dive and double barrier and goats in the past. So these two things have actually made an interesting difference to competitive, haven't they? I mean, obviously we've seen them, map pools have been a thing in esports type of Overwatch for quite a long time, and hero pools, they really have changed things up. But Overwatch, the Blizzard devs and the Overwatch League have decided to change things up with these now, and I think these changes they are going to do is good. So, let's talk about map pools first. Map pools are going to be retired. So the Blizzard are saying that initially they wanted to accomplish two major goals with the map pools. In the short term, greatly reduce the number of matches being played on Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony, because they've seen a lot of feedback on those maps and they need some changes. Thank you, Blizzard, they do need changes. So again, we'll be coming back to that in a minute. But also, more broadly, they wanted to give each competitive season a bit more flavour and differentiation to give them more distinct identities. Well, it kind of, hasn't really done anything, has it? I mean, we look at it at the start of each season, we look at the map pool and we're like, okay, as long as it doesn't have Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony, we're all happy. And it really didn't have an impact on how people played. So, map pools were pretty ineffective, and I think that's pretty much why Blizzard are deciding to retire map pools. So, on April the 14th, map pools will no longer exist. All maps will be available in Overwatch Competitive, bar 2. I'm sure you can probably guess which ones. Horizon Lunar Colony and Paris. Now, the reason they're not going to be included is because they want to improve their play. They want to improve how these maps play. And this is fantastic, fantastic news. People have been calling for changes to Horizon Lunar Colony and Paris for a very long time. Paris has been the worst map in the game since its launch. It took over from the likes of Horizon when it launched. Paris is an awful map. And it's good to know that the Overwatch devs are now looking at the map. Also, Horizon Lunar Colony, it's never been a favourable map. People don't really like it. I think it's okay, but people, it's their own opinion. I don't think Horizon Lunar Colony is anywhere near as bad as Paris is. I hate Paris, and I'm glad that we haven't had it in the previous two seasons of competitive. But Horizon Lunar Colony has had a rework before. Clearly, it hasn't worked, and people are still not happy with it, and the devs are listening. And therefore, we will not be seeing Paris or Horizon Lunar Colony in Overwatch Competitive until they receive reworks or are updated by the developers, which I think is fantastic. This is exactly what we want. The Overwatch devs listening to us. These are the two worst maps in the entire map pool. It does seem to be a coincidence that it's 2CP, Blizzard, but 2CP is 2CP. They're never going to remove 2CP, so let's just hopefully get some new maps or reworked maps that make 2CP much nicer. And there are constant changes they are making to 2CP to try and make it less of a headache. But the problem is, with 2CP, stall is very good. It's just the way the maps are built. So, it'll be interesting to see what the devs do with Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony when we see them updated. And hopefully, we might not be too far away from that, because they have been taken out of the competitive pool for quite a while now. So, maybe we will see some changes to those maps in the near future. But we have to talk about hero pools. So this is the best change. I'm not too fussed about map pools, whether they're in, whether they're out. As long as I don't have to play Paris or Horizon Lunar Colony, I'm a happy chap. But hero pools are a different thing. So in the Overwatch League and Overwatch Contenders, we have seen a constant hero pool kind of develop. It is 2 DPS are banned, 1 support is banned, and 1 tank. Now, on live servers, in competitive, it has been different. The devs have been having their way with hero pools. We have seen all sorts, massive experimentation with the idea, and some people have liked this experimentation, and devs have told us that they're going to be more extreme with their experimentation. The community has wanted to see it. They wanted to see the devs be more proactive, and this is them being more proactive, so we can't really complain. But some people have enjoyed what the devs have been doing with the hero pool, some haven't. We have seen some crazy hero pools. We have seen a week where 4 DPS have been banned, 1 tank and 1 support, and the DPS that were banned were Soldier, Sombra, Widow and McCree, basically eliminating most of the long-range hit scan in the game. Funny how that week Farah did quite well. So, you know, it has had its ups and downs. We've also seen 2 tanks banned, 1 DPS, 1 support, 2 supports banned, 1 DPS and 1 tank, and it's been all over the place. It's been pretty crazy. I've had my opinions on it from time to time, other people have had their opinions on it from time to time, and I think in hindsight actually it's been quite good for the devs to experiment like this and find an idea that is good. But it seems to me that they have now found that idea, because we are going to get a change to hero pools, and this is them being unified across all of Overwatch. So, the hero pool that is announced at the end of the Watchpoint broadcast of the Overwatch League at the end of the weekend will be the hero pool played in the next week for Overwatch League, Overwatch Contenders, Open Division, and the competitive ladder. The hero pools will be unified across all levels of Overwatch competitive play, and that is brilliant. That is what I want to see. That is what a lot of people will want to see. This obviously means that it will be following the Overwatch League rules, so we will have constantly and always 2 DPS, 1 tank and 1 support banned. So this makes the hero pools a bit more simple on the live servers. It means that perhaps we won't get as wacky of, you know, weekly comps as we were expecting, but one thing that the devs like to do, and they said this a long time ago, they want to have Overwatch League playing on a patch or a meta as close to the competitive ladder as possible. So the experience of watching the Overwatch League and the experience of playing the game does not differentiate to the point where they basically are unrecognizable when looking at them alongside each other. So they want the player to go from watching the Overwatch League to having a good time in the game. It's very tough at the moment because this is Overwatch, but this means we are a step closer to them basically, you know, making things a lot more simple for everyone. Now, after April the 14th, if you watch the Overwatch League, you will be able to go straight into a game and you will have that hero pool in competitive. You will not be saying, well, hold on a minute, the Overwatch League has got Diva banned, yet we're here on live servers and we've got this hero banned or that hero banned. Currently this week it's Zarya. So it unifies the thing, it makes things a lot more simple, and it brings the league closer to Overwatch, which is, at the end of the day, the goal. The players that play in the Overwatch League, future or current, are people playing on the ladder. So those players that are playing in the league now started their careers on ladder. The people who are going to play in the league in the future are people who are currently playing on ladder. So it makes sense for people who want to improve at the game and people who want to practice at the game and want to get to that point where they're getting noticed by tier 2 teams or something like that, for that ladder to be playing on the hero pools that the competitive esports space is playing on. So this is actually a fantastic step from the Overwatch devs and the Overwatch League. It is nice to see that they are listening. I think a lot of people have probably called for this. I mean, I haven't seen it totally. I've seen a lot of people's opinions on it. Some people have been saying, well, actually, the variation we've seen across the weeks has actually been fantastic. It's completely up to you. I'd love to know what your guys' opinion on this is, because this is a change, but I think it's a good change. I think I like the map pools change, because I was getting instances where you would play the same map a lot more than any other maps in one play session. And that shouldn't be happening. So with the bigger map pool now, well, the map pool doesn't exist, but with all the maps in play now, bar Paris and Horizon, we should be able to get a much more varied selection of maps when we play during a play session. So if you're playing 6 games, you should hopefully get a lot of different maps and not the same map over and over again. And with hero pools, I just think this is so much better in terms of viewership for the Overwatch League, translating to playing the game, and I think it's better for a stability point for competitive as well, because some of the things that were going on were a bit crazy, let's be honest. So those are my thoughts on the updates coming to competitive in the very, very near future, next week, if you weren't aware. And I'd love to know your guys' opinion on it in terms of map pools and map and hero pools, I should say. And I shall see you guys tomorrow for, no doubt, a contenders roundup and possibly a transfer roundup as well, because we've got a bit to get through. I've got to get those 2 videos out, and I only have 1 day to do it, so you know what that means. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.